Hello, good evening. Savva here, Football Heritage TV. Hope everyone has had a lovely Tuesday. I'm back for the Football Throwdown. It's been a couple of weeks. I've been away. Myself and Albert, we've both been tanning. He assures me he's been tanning. Tom has not been tanning. Dave does not like tanning, but here we all are anyway. Dave, how are you, mate? Welcome back. You good?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, it's going to be weird talking about football because I've sort of put it on the back burner for a while. So I've been, thinking about Stuart Broad, my little Forest man, berating Australians. I've been watching the Tour de France. I've watched every set pretty much from Glastonbury. So I'm going to try and talk about football, try and get myself back in the swing of it. So, but it's really good to see you lads again. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to see you as well. Let's head straight over to your adopted grandson, Tom Little. You must be loving life at Liverpool, making some moves. You good?
I know, actually acting like a serious club. Actually, trying to work in the transfer market. I'm not used to this. I'm not used to one sign and done.
I tell you what, Dave. I don't know about you, but I always feel like when I get fans from like Chelsea or Liverpool or Man U and they talk like, oh my God, we're so hard done by, and you think you win titles and Champions Leagues and do you know what I mean? And like can't even win a League Cup over here at Tottenham. And sorry to hear that it's been really tough for you as a club over the last few years, Tom. Albert, Declan Rice. I have it on good authority that he still hasn't signed for Arsenal. How are you, mate? You good?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, man. It's been it's a lot can change in a couple of days of transfer window amongst the Arsenal fan base on the social media. Yeah, so interesting times, mate. Interesting times.
Yeah, I mean, let's get straight into it, guys. I mean, look, we don't have to have a set format. Let's talk football. Look, I was saying earlier when I was on with Dan Potts and with Kaz that it feels like this has been a really, really a different transfer window because of the whole Saudi Arabia element. It just almost feels like every day you've got one transfer window going on over here, and then whoever they decide in European football they want to take over there. Is this a good thing for football? Is this a bad thing for football? And Tom, I'll start with you. Are you surprised at the number of players that are now starting to go over there that are in their peak, like Brozovic and Ruben Neves at the age of 26? Are you surprised by these moves?
No, because money's money. And if I was in their situation, if I get the chance to earn 100 million quid, I'm taking 100 million quid. Because I think they'll know more about the long-term future than us. But the last league that tried this was the Chinese Super League, and that crashed and burned, and everyone got the big payday and then just came back to Europe a couple of years later. Maybe that's what some of these players are thinking. I think this one could last longer because they've got bigger names and everything, and they've got better backing. But is this a good thing for football? Only time will tell. It doesn't seem like it on the face of things because we're all very traditional and don't like these big money leagues coming in and trying to take all our players and trying to ruin the status quo. But if they come in and give some good ideas to football, it'll be interesting. But as you said, it's going to take a long time for that to really bed in and become a competitive league, because for every Karim Benzema and Ronaldo and Kante and Neves you sign, you've still got some players who are in the Saudi league already who are not of that quality. And I've had the pleasure of watching about 3 Saudi league games on holiday, and the standard was not very high, I'll tell you. It had me convinced I was due a £20 million payday soon enough.
I'll look out for Romano saying tomorrow that Tom Little is in talks over £100 million a year deal to play in centre mid with N'Golo Kante. Albert, it's strange, right? Because I mean, Chelsea are the ones benefiting from this at the moment. They are definitely.
Of course they are. Yeah.
Well, they're winning the transfer exit game, aren't they? They're just getting rid of everybody. How do you feel about this? Is this going to catch on? Are Premier League viewers going to start watching the Saudi League because these top players are going over there?
I know people like football, generally speaking, and watch football outside of the Premier League, but I think Saudi Arabia, it might take a little bit more time, Sav, to be honest with you, mate. To put it politely, as Tom mentioned, we see a similar thing with it happened in China when I think Oscar at the time was like about 26, 28, and you're thinking, why is he going to? And then like Yannick Carrasco is going over there like you're Atletico Madrid. Why are you going to China? But the financial element of it is a bit too much. But Savva, it's not a surprise, man. And like I said, I think in terms of not just with the Saudi league, I don't think when they try to do the breakaway with the Super League, that won't go away. That will come back. Mark my words. How they want to structure it and how they want to go about it this time will be different. But Savva, it happens, man. We look at for example, golf with the live situation that happened. That caused. I never thought if there's one sport, Savva, I thought I'd never see any type of ruckus.
It's golf.
The way that took. I know they've come together to kind of merge them. Even that's not even concrete clear, to be honest. So time will tell. But whether it's good for football,
the Netflix golf series as well was hilarious. Watching them try and dramatically break down golfers getting angry.
Yeah, what
made it out like a war film, they just breached the defensive lines or something.
Yeah, but you know what? Deep down, Sam, I think people like. I got to admit, even with sort of like going with the goal side of it, I did enjoy some of the interviews with Roy McIlroy in particular, because he was not happy, like a few of the American players as well. But with any sports, Savva, there's always going to be like a resistance to change, whether we like it or not as fans or consumers of sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave, I'll come to you just quickly before I do. First of all, Paul Connor, thank you. He's been in the show a lot lately. Thank you for becoming a channel member. Big up to you. And Tom Martin as well. Thank you. Very kind words. Savva, found your channel in the last couple of days. One of the best I've seen on YouTube. Subscribed and liked. Keep up the good work and come on, you Spurs. Thank you. It's better than being called a CUNT. So thank you very much. It's really, really nice. What is that noise? Is that outside your window again, Dave?
Is that Mario Kart? Is it in the background?
Yes.
Mad Max just gone up the road being chased by the toe cutter, I think. Jesus. So I do apologise for that.
No worries. I mean, Dave, will you, look, you watch a lot of football. You watch a lot of sport from what you said. Will you be tuning in to the Saudi League to watch Benzema go head-to-head with Ronaldo and this type of stuff?
I don't know. My curiosity will probably be piquing me to have a look every now and then. But you know what Tom and Albert have just said, I concur wholeheartedly with both of their views. I just think, you know, the thing is, like Albert says, you get revolutions in sport, you get these happenings, these occurrences which challenge the equilibrium of what we've had. I mean, I think back. You know, before we came on, we were talking about cricket, and I remember the Packer revolution back in I think it was the 1980s, where a lot of guys stopped playing traditional Test cricket and went and played in this Packer circus, and they said it won't last and it'll have no impact. Well, it didn't last, but it had a massive impact, and I think that, you know, the Saudis are very keen to, I think, change perceptions about their regime, and they're using their soft power to try and do that.
Yeah,
I mean, will the league challenge the Premier League? I doubt it. I mean, to return to Albert's sort of reference to golf, the live golfers, they challenged the USPGA's power, and off they went. You know, and understandably, because these guys were being offered huge sums of money, as are these footballers, to make families and children, you know, secure for the rest of their lives. And it's, from a personal point of view, it's totally understandable. But it was noticeable that after having gone over yonder for a while, they want to come back now. They've formed a merger between the USPGA and the Live Golf. It's probably a slightly fraught arrangement. But I personally, you know, will I watch it? I mean, I don't want to sound snobby or aloof or conceited enough to. I'm not watching that.
I'll sound snobby. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to.
No, I mean, I'll have a look. I'll have a look, Sav. But I mean, to be honest with you, mate, you know, on my radar, you know, in about, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks' time is my trip to the Emirates for the start of the season on a Saturday dinner time. I cannot wait. It is consuming all of my thinking. Like Tom's consumed by thinking about who Liverpool are going to sign and then getting ready for their first match. I think it's at Chelsea, and Arsenal, and Albert's obviously he's bricking himself because he knows the tricky army is coming. That plague of tricky locusts is coming to the Emirates. So we're all consumed in it, and it will always kind of be sort of over to the side. But I think it will. How it will play out, I do think it will have an impact. What sort of form that will take, I really do not know at the moment. But I think it will. It's bound to have an impact. I think it will have more of an impact than the Japanese J League had and the Chinese League, and and MLS has had. But how it turns out, I do not know. I still think the Premier League is the one that people generally want to play in. I mean, to me, the signings made within the Premier League thus far are way more interesting than the signings that I mean, by and large, Neves, Jota from Celtic, and maybe it seems almost like a seniors tour, to use a Dolphin phrase. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's how I was looking at it until they started signing, like the likes of Brozovic. He's far too good, man, to not be playing in one of Europe's elite teams. But look, let's bring this back to Premier League. Have we seen anything, guys? Have we seen anything this transfer window from any of the challengers to Man City to suggest Man City will not win the league again? Now, that might be a backwards way of asking that question, but have Arsenal done enough? Are they doing enough? Are Liverpool making enough signings to go and challenge Newcastle, Man United, or are Man City in pole position? Because I asked before we came live, I asked people to vote, and I said, who will win the league this season? And so far, from 114 votes, Man City have 63%, 20% Arsenal, 8% Liverpool, and 9% someone else. I don't know who that someone else is, but I like it. I like the thinking. Forest. It's Nottingham Forest. Yeah, that's who they're all voting for. Tom, have any clubs done enough in this window so far that will be worrying Pep Guardiola?
Potentially, but it won't be because we have done enough in terms of Liverpool and Arsenal. I think Liverpool and Arsenal are the closest to challenging. I think Arsenal have solved their big issue. So one of them in terms of you've upgraded massively in quality and getting Declan Rice in. But in terms of your biggest issue, I still think that hasn't been fully addressed yet in terms of depth. I still think there are concerns about the drop in quality, should I say, in Arsenal's squad if you suffer injuries. I think Jurrien Timber goes a long way to solving the Saliba problem. But now what do you do if Declan Rice goes down? You're back to Sambi Lokonga, Fabio Vieira, who's a twig. And again, we still have problems. I don't know who we're signing for centre-back, but if we try and play Andrew Robertson and Kostas Tsimikas there for the full season, we are going to be cut apart by teams who have competent wingers. Midfield-wise, obviously we've got 2 through the door in, but still no 6. If we fail to address that, who knows? But I think the big thing is Manchester City, we need them to slip up this window to have a chance, in my opinion. I still think if they get this window right, they're looking at that Gvardiol for 86 million. That'll be a big signing for them. He looks to be the ideal left centre-back for them. They've got Kovacic in through the door as the almost a Gundogan replacement. I've liked Kovacic when he's been fit.
Good player.
But if they lose too many, like if they lose Bernardo and can't get a replacement in, maybe that opens the door up. But we need City to make a mistake in the market to have a real chance. Because I still think that whilst Pep Guardiola's here and whilst Haaland's got another year under his belt, Alvarez has got another year under his belt, Jack Grealish gets another year under his belt, they'll just maintain this high level. I think the only other thing you could worry about is maybe mentality, maybe the idea that they've now finally done everything, won the treble, won the Champions League, they down tools, but I think Pep Guardiola's too elite a manager to let that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before I go to Albert, Tom, tell me, as things stand, again, it's difficult making predictions when we're this early. Who are the nearest challengers to Man City next season? Is it going to be Arsenal? Is it going to be Liverpool? Someone else?
I'd say us, by virtue of we've got a lesser European competition, so we can save our better players for the league. Our Arsenal can't realistically go into Champions League and bench Saka. We can go travel to NS Miura. Mind you, I can't say NS Miura. They done you a lot in a couple of years ago.
Good team.
We can travel to Dnipro 1 in wherever they're from and go field Harvey Elliott on the wing and Curtis Jones and whatever.
Right.
So I think we'll be all right on that front.
So let me come to you then on this question, Albert. I mean, Tom makes a good point. I think this is. I was having this chat today, and someone said, "Oh, it's just because you hate Arsenal," and it's not. I think that this is going to be the difficulty that Arsenal have got to balance this year. Is not only trying to maintain that level of league form that you had this season just gone, but now you're balancing in tough Champions League games during the midweek as well. Is that going to be the challenge for Arsenal in terms of building their squad this year? And how do you think you're going to cope with it?
Being an Arsenal fan, knowing how Arsenal are, we'll probably go out of both domestic cup competitions quite early. We probably get into the knockout stages of the Champions League, and then we can concentrate on the league. But no, in serious answer to the question.
Because your fans would go mad if you were knocked out of both domestic competitions early, because Arteta gets a lot of stick.
Savva, our fans go mad when there's no football. There's no let up with the Arsenal fan base on the social media side of it. So I'm immune to it. So that'll be the thing. I think Arsenal obviously being back in the Champions League or just European football, full stop, because it's more fixture pile up, isn't it? But obviously better quality in terms of who we're going to play in the Champions League. I think it's going to dictate how we do, mate. Is obviously how we do recruitment wise. For Arsenal, because we've come into many a summer window where we've kind of plugged some gaps, then we haven't plugged others, or the ones we have bought in are just not up to the standard required to take us further to probably win the league or to do better in the Champions League, for example. But it's a solid start so far. But I think for me, looking at the season sort of coming up, if we're going to get closer to City, I think it'd probably be out of us and Liverpool. Personally speaking, I know some people.
Are you sure? Because Danny's direction thinks that Spurs could finish above Liverpool. I don't know where that's come from, but hey, sure, let's do it. Spurs to finish second.
No, let Big Ange get through the door first. Second, Jesus.
Talk about pressure on Big Ange. Yeah, you've got to finish second this year, or you're sacked, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Hold on. I think is it calendar? I think the calendar's April 1st. Isn't it? No, that's a little bit premature thinking. But Arsenal, listen. This season is pressure anyway. But I think obviously off the back of last season, not so much how it ended, but just in terms of actually being within a title race, there's going to be more pressure. Arsenal need to deliver silverware. Yeah, you got a top Man City side, obviously just done a treble. But listen, it's just no one said football's going to be easy, man. If you've got to compete with the best, you got to go toe to toe with them. And I guess we're still quite early in transfer window. There's been some good business generally within the Premier League anyway, not just with the respective clubs that we support. But time will tell. I would expect, and what I want is for Arsenal to push for a league title. I think the mentality needs to change within the Arsenal fan base. No more of this top four talk. It's about we got a taste of it last season. It's about winning and getting silver in the cabinet and being competitive on a consistent basis. And that's where the mindset needs to be for Arsenal fans.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, okay, Dave, who are you putting as I mean, first of all, are you saying City will win the league again? And if you are, who are going to be their nearest challengers, or are we going to see a different league winner for the first time in? They've won three on the string, right?
Yeah.
Will we see a new winner for the first time in 4 years?
Well, sitting here at this precise moment, Sav, I can't see anybody but City winning it. But there are facets to take into account, I think. Like Tom alluded to, when you've won everything, was it Alexander the Great wept salt tears because there were no more worlds to conquer? You know, we're at the point now where City, what more can you do?
Yeah.
And while I was thinking about Manchester City, I was thinking, because I love rugby league amongst other things, and like St Helens have they won Super League the last 4 years. They won the World Championship by beating Penrith in Australia. Saints were the pinnacle. They seemed invincible. I'm looking at the Super League table now, and Saints are 6th, and they've lost a few games. So City's arrival at that pinnacle and where they go from there, that might be their undoing. I think the biggest threat to City, and this is no disrespect to the great clubs that are going to be up there, sort of just below them, trying to knock them off their perch. I think City's biggest issue is themselves. I think that the loss of Gundogan is a key issue. You know, Kovacic has been sort of bought, it would appear, as a replacement, but Gundogan has been so influential the last 2 years as a captain.
Dave, can I ask you? Don't you think that this sort of thing gets thrown at Man City every year? It doesn't matter who they. Every time they sell someone, people go, "Oh my god!" Oh my god, you're loaning out Cancelo. He's a great player. And Pep finds a way. I mean, I think what it will mean is you'll see Kovacic play, but I think you'll see more of Alvarez as well. I think you'll start to see maybe Phil Foden coming to more of a central role. I just can't see anyone.
It's a great Sab. You're absolutely bang on, mate. It's this City's ability to time lord, like regenerate and get better.
Yeah.
With regard to the chasing pack, I do think that some of the business might have closed the gap a little. I like Liverpool's business. I think Alexis McAllister. Bizarrely, we might get to sort of 11 o'clock or whatever it is on September the 1st. And as we look back with our hindsight, we might kind of think, well, actually, the best deal was the very first one done when they signed Alexis McAllister, an excellent player at a reasonable price. Szoboszlai, I think he looks a really good player. If they get Levi Colwill, if you put me on the spot, Sav, and say who are the nearest challengers to City this year, I'll repeat what I said from last year when I said I thought it would be Liverpool, but I think Liverpool are going to be better. I think Liverpool have been taught by a general, succession of events. They've been taught some lessons that they're now, it seems to me, have done the requisite amount of navel gazing, and they're addressing their problems. So I think Liverpool, to me, look the most likely challenger. For Newcastle and Arsenal, I think those two have had to transfer the element of surprise to now an element of expectation. So Arsenal are in the spotlight, Newcastle in the spotlight. Newcastle came from being a relegation candidate. Arsenal came from being a sort of just outside the top 5 kind of team, and they put themselves bang there. They've got really difficult tasks, those two. Chelsea, I think Chelsea are helped by the fact that they had such an awful season last year, and Pochettino will instantly make them a better side. I think
he will,
and I think and I think some of the business.
I've got to be careful if I say anything nice, Dave. In a previous stream I was just on, I was getting called a Chelsea fan. Daring to be a football fan that can be objective about other clubs. But
I have to be, because we never talk about Forest on here.
We'll come to Forest, don't worry. I agree with you. I think the most amount of pressure this year, I truly believe, is on Arteta, and it's a good thing and a bad thing, because off the back of such a good season in the league, all right, you didn't win it, but off the back of that season, there's not a lot of places to go, right? There's not, you can only go one higher, but you can drop considerably lower. So I think this is going to be a real interesting one.
I think the Declan Rice, getting Declan Rice in, I think is a huge thing for us. And there'll be people on here who say, I don't rate him. I think Declan Rice is a fantastic player. I think he's a fantastic human being. Every time I've seen him, I've seen him when he talks, he comes across as the sort of guy that a dressing room will warm to. I think if they get Declan Rice in, that's a fantastic signing. Timber, great name. They were a bit wooden at the back last year, Arsenal. So they bolstered with some timber, which I think is a good signing. But like Tom says, with Arsenal, it's that question of for all of them, aiming to sort of nudge City off the pedestal.
I
It's this depth
think it's
thing,
going to come
Sam,
down to Europe. I think it's going to be really, and Tom's point earlier,
which
by the
helps
way,
Chelsea and Liverpool, doesn't it? You know what I mean?
there seems to be this conversation about who is Tom Little in the chat. I mean, Tom Little is in the panel. There he is. Look, he's there. Look, there. He's there in his lovely green t-shirt.
My gorgeous grandson there. Look at him, lovely, isn't he?
Yeah, got a lovely little face.
Not a blemish, just a perfect little look at him. He's a little munchkin. He's lovely, isn't he?
It's so upsetting, isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah, look, you see these
God,
lines I've got on my head. He's not got these yet. He's not got these.
Who could love this?
I feel like a lot of this year is going to be down to Europe, because you've got, if you look at it, if you look at the top 7 or 8 from last year, you've got, I said 8 because Spurs finished 8th, right? If you look at it, right, you've got Spurs and Chelsea who are going to be playing once a week. Yeah. By the way, I don't think we're going to be great, but you never know if we can sign a couple of good players, right? You've got Spurs and Chelsea who'll be playing once a week. Liverpool, as Tom's already alluded to, will be able to not have to put out their star 11, so to speak, for Europa League games, especially at the beginning of the campaign. But by the way, Dave, when you type, it's like somebody's whacking a brick against the screen every time you type. Just so you know,
Keith. Sorry, Sam. Keith Moon and John Bonham taught me to type. Let me just say that.
It was just like, and then you've got Newcastle, who, yes, they had a great year last year, but Newcastle haven't been in Europe for how long? And now they've got to go from no Europe to not even Europa League, like straight in at the top level of football for the Champions League. Albert, do you go along with this? Do you think this is going to be where a lot of clubs are going to struggle in terms of balancing all the competitions?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, from an Arsenal point of view, we had a season where we weren't in Europe and we still couldn't get back into the top 4. So yeah, it's I get the question. I get what you're saying. It probably will come down to it, because obviously, let's be honest, the more fixture pile up, it's not advantageous, is it?
No,
if you're
of course it's not.
So yeah, I hear what you're saying. That's why I think Liverpool obviously not being in the Championship football might make a difference. With Arsenal, it's going to be interesting, man. How they deal with it, because like I said, it's been quite a long time since we've been at the Champions League. I think it's 7-8 years, 7-8 years. So to be back in it is gonna. It's going
to be good for you guys, Albert. But listen, if I take my Spurs hat off, if I was an Arsenal fan, my worry would be, okay, you can bring in Declan Rice, who's a top player. I'm not knocking that at all. Fantastic signing. But you're then talking about, obviously, Xhaka going. So I look at it and go, have you dealt with, I know the window's not over yet, but have you dealt with the need to bolster the squad? Yes, Declan Rice makes your first 11 instantly better for me. But have you brought in anyone else that instantly makes it better, or that really bolsters the squad? You know, Timber, okay, so you'll have Timber, Gabriel, Saliba, but is it a bit lightweight in terms of numbers, in terms of depth?
I mean, I sort of can answer that both ways, really, because it depends who Arsenal obviously want to keep on. There's talks that Reece Nelson's going to stay. He's going to offer a new contract. Obviously, we've done the groundwork in terms of getting contracts sorted with the guys that are like the key figures of the team, in terms of your Gabriels, your Salibas, and Martinellis. And obviously, ESR, he had, like, it was an odd one with him, actually, because a lot of people like him, with obviously Haaland Boy, and even a lot of rival clubs do like him as a player. But he had a big injury, and I think that probably played a big part. So it's almost getting a new player of him coming back. Tomiyasu, again, another one that got injured at a crucial part of the season last season. That's going to add more to the squad depth. I haven't heard any rumours in terms of Tierney moving on, so there's good chance that he might stay. I think there's going to be some sort of important talks with Thomas Partey, because that seems to be the one where he could go or he could stay. I mean, it would be very odd if Arsenal put themselves in a position, for example, in terms of midfield, where if someone had said to me, Savva, come the end of last season, Arsenal are going to let Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka go, Arsenal fans would have said to themselves, "Are you serious? Like,
that's your midfield.
Let one go and keep one of them there, and then bring more on top of that." So with Arsenal, who knows? But the squad depth thing was a major thing, and obviously there was a couple of key injuries which would have made a difference to our squad depth. And there were, in terms of, we bought in Kivior in January. He's going to need time to settle in. Yes, he had a few games with the back end of last season, but I'm confident he'll come good. So who knows? I think there's rumours defensively we might bring another centre back in.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money you're spending, isn't it? It's a huge layout, and I'm guessing for every million you add on, at the moment it's looking like you're going to have spent 200 million on Havertz, Rice, and Timber. The pressure that goes on to Arteta to win something with this amount of money he's spent is just huge, isn't it?
Yeah. You know what it is? The spend thing makes me laugh, particularly within the Arsenal fan base, because they've all turned into accountants. So they say the minute the window wasn't even open, Arsenal got to spend the money. Edu's a clown. He's this and he's that. I mean, I can tell a lot of people don't work in business because it's not that easy to get deals done. But the thing is, it's like, spend the money. Arsenal spend the money. We've overpaid for him. Now, if Arsenal fans were logical, right, in their thinking, if they said to themselves, look, are we going to have to pay over the odds to get Declan Rice? The answer would be yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and the thing is, as I mentioned this before on your show last time, in terms of people talk about this war chest. I don't know where that term even bloody comes from. But
what does that even mean in 2023? What is a war chest? When you've got players like Mount going for 60 million, Havertz going for 65, a war chest needs to be something like 500 million, because now you just need 200 million to buy 3 players. It's absolutely mental.
So when they banded that figure around of about Arsenal fans are doing this. I don't 200 million. I said, look, Arsenal are going to have to spend in excess of 200 million. When it comes to any type of budget, I mentioned this last time on your channel, not even just in terms of football, in terms of any infrastructure, when you're building, you got a tournament or you got an event, you go and find me figures where people are spent within their budget.
Yeah, for sure, mate.
It won't exist.
Absolutely. I think the difficulty as well, and Tom, let me come to you on this. I think the difficulty is finding the bargains now. Now, in terms of Liverpool, got a great bargain. If you look at, as Dave alluded to, Alexis McAllister at what was it, 30 million, 35 million?
35 million, yeah.
When you look at that, and then again, Mount and Havertz going for 660 plus. But then, obviously, I'm going to butcher this guy's name.
Szoboszlai.
He's, what, was it 60?
60, yeah.
60 million. So you guys have spent, what, 90, 95 million on 2 midfielders. Back in the day, it would never cost you nearly 100 million to find 2 central midfielders. It's gone mad, hasn't it? And how much more money have Liverpool got, Tom? What do you guys need?
Ideally, we still need another DM, which, by the looks of things, is going to be Romeo Lavia from Southampton. That's the one we're really pushing on.
Obviously, so a brand new free in midfield.
But I think Chelsea want him, but they're doing Caicedo. Arsenal want him, but they're waiting on Partey to leave. United are interested, but they've just spent half their budget on Mason Mount. So if we move quickly, we're all right. We can get him. And I also think we need another centre back. Obviously, Levi Colwill's the one I'd love, but he's going to cost an arm and a leg from Chelsea. Yeah. He's going to cost 80, 85 million, something like that. But he's the one that the club really, really want. And there's a report that's come out, like I think an hour ago, that said if Chelsea were to give even the slightest inclination that Levi Colwill could leave this summer for any fee, Liverpool will be straight in the conversation negotiating it. So we clearly think very highly of him.
Yeah.
Me personally, I would also like to add another centre mid on top of that, because I think that it might be time to let go of Thiago. Because as good a player he is, he's going next summer on a free, guaranteed. Right. He's not going to sign a new deal.
But you've still got Henderson and Fabinho at the club, right?
I would love to get rid of Henderson, but I don't think any club wants to buy Jordan Henderson. He's not exactly a name that. The reason why Thiago could go is because he's a fantastic marketable figure in Saudi Arabia, for example, or maybe like a Juventus or someone with an experienced head. I don't think Al Ali in Saudi Arabia are looking at Jordan Henderson going, "There's our marketable figure. There's the one who should be getting our £150 million contract." So whilst I would prefer Henderson to go ahead of Thiago, I don't think any club wants Henderson over Thiago. So I'm gonna keep him around. Fabinho, he's still not 30 somehow, even though he plays like he's about 35. He can stay around because we need DM depth. But Thiago's the one I look at and go, if I got a good offer for you, if I got an offer like 20 million from Saudi, and I could then spend that money on getting myself a Kefren Turam or a Kone or someone like that ilk, another midfielder of that ilk of 23 to 25, 40 million pounds comes in, we got him for the next 5 years. I'd do that because we've had an issue in recent years where we just let all our assets go for free.
So let me ask you though, just before I come over to Dave to have his moment in the spotlight about Nottingham Forest and their 100 signings a window. There's lots of talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold and this new role that Klopp's got for him, which is going into midfield. Do you see that happening, and that might be a reason why you don't buy more central midfielders? Or do you think he's going to be a kind of right back that inverts into a midfielder? What's your feeling there with Trent?
I think he sticks in that right back inverted thing, because I have to look at it from what we've got in the club. If we wanted to put Trent in midfield, we've lost our second choice right back in James Milner. Take from that about our full back depth what you think. Our second choice right back was 38-year-old James Milner, and he's now gone. So we've lost that. We're now down to Joe Gomez and a right back who spent last year on loan at Bolton. Mind you, though, Bolton, someone who was on loan at Bolton last year just went for 20 million. So who knows? He might be he might be the next big thing. Who knows? But I think Klopp prefers him at right back. I think he's actually a little bit better off at right back because he becomes such a hard matchup for opposition that there's no out-and-out way to deal with him. Cancelo, teams couldn't deal with Cancelo for ages because it's such a hot... You can't commit your winger on them because they're not good defensively. You can't commit a centre-mid because then you're going to leave one free. And now that we've got actual dangerous centre-mids who can create and shoot from distance in McAllister and Szoboszlai, that puts that threat up even higher. I just think everything points to him for now anyway. Maybe later on down the line he becomes one, which I think is what his career path will be. But for next season and probably the season afterwards as well, he'll be the right back, the inverted right back for us. Yeah, absolutely. Dave, just quickly before I come to you, CFC Pirate has said, Savva, what do you think on some Spurs fans being a bit harsh on Poch for what he said on his interview? Big fan of the channel, by the way. Well, thank you for being a big fan of the channel. I really appreciate that. The more Chelsea people that watch, the more I'm going to be accused of being a Chelsea fan. But hey, it goes with the territory. Look, I was talking to Tom about this before Albert and Dave arrived. I think it's absolutely madness how angry Spurs fans have got over an ex-manager whose job is to manage football clubs professionally, saying something nice about his new club in his first ever interview. I mean, it's just like, what did they think he was going to do? Go on Chelsea TV and go, I still love Spurs. This team's nowhere near as good as the team I had with Dele Alli. And what were you... They're expecting some WWE type thing when he rips his new Chelsea shirt off. He's got a Tottenham one underneath. He starts belting out Tottenham songs. I'll be honest. I did a video about it about 4 hours ago. And listen, do you know what? I literally, I can show you. I called it. I don't know if you can see that. Like, it literally says, Spurs fans, stop crying over Poch. Like, it's embarrassing that he's a professional football manager that left us 4 years ago. Like, anyway, thank you for the super chat.
I think Spurs fans can be, just don't get me started. Don't get me started.
It's funny because there was never this reaction when he went to PSG and was saying, "Oh, PSG is one of the biggest clubs in the world. I get to work with some of the best players." But he now goes to Tottenham. He now goes to Chelsea. Sorry, and it's all.
Yeah, I think Spurs fans see Chelsea as a rival, and I mean they're a rival in terms of location. There's a hatred there, but we're not a rival in terms of they don't look at us and go, "Oh, Spurs might pip us to a title this year," or And by the way, Milky, this is I mean, when we're saying an outside bet, I want odds of 10,000 to 1 or something, mate. If we're going to have an outside bet on that, I'll stick a fiver on it, 10,000 to 1. Sod it. Do you know what? I'll stick 200 quid on it, 10,000 to 1. If it comes off, I'll pay off my mortgage. Let's do that. Go on, Spurs. Big up the Spurs. From one team that aren't going to win a title, Tottenham, to another one that aren't going to win the title, Nottingham Forest, Dave. Dare I say it, you've been very quiet unless there's been any signings that have gone over my head. Have you done anything yet? What's going on?
No, nothing. We're doing nothing purposely to spite all of you lot. Nothing. The city ground is deserted. There's a padlock on the gate. Steve Cooper, I think he's still on holiday or walking the dog up and down the Trent side. Nothing has happened, and I love it. Oscar Wilde was wrong. It's not always better to be talked about. This time last year, we were the apple of TalkSport's eye. We were the apple of Richard Keys' eye, which is obviously not an eye that I would ever trust.
I was going to say, did you mean to say Richard Keys? I was like, really?
Well, it seemed like whatever we did this time last year, how dare little Nottingham Forest, stick their head above the parapet. They should know their place. Punk attitude, like the Pistols. We're like, we know where we are in the food chain. I was watching a podcast about us tonight, and there's a terrific guy in our fan base who comes on and he speaks a lot of sense. And he said, nobody at Nottingham Forest last year, apart from the odd one or two kind of, disproportionate people who said we might finish top half, nobody was in any way delusional, and it was wonderful. And I think this time around, they've just come back in. They started pre-season yesterday. I watched the video. They've all come back in. And I think the bulk of what will start our season is already there. And I love it. And I think, if it was me, I would just willfully sign as few as possible, just so to be complete opposite of what happened last year. Really, our team coalesced really well at the end of last season. And he's from Liverpool away onwards, when we lost at Liverpool, but we went down fighting, our team coalesced. And the blueprint for this season just sort of chemically happened in front of our eyes. And I think the bulk of what finished that season, Taiwo, Brennan Morgan, Danilo, Yatesy, Mangala, Felipe, whatever, will start this season. We need a goalkeeper, but I'm hoping that the Dean Henderson thing will get done. It's a win-win for everybody. United don't want him. He doesn't want to be United. We want him. He wants to be with us. Get him in. Left back is an issue because as much as I would love Renan Loddy to stay, understandably, he wants Champions League football. And
but you're going to do Spurs a favour and take Ryan Sessegnon off our hands, aren't you?
Yeah. And you know what? I know. I mean, I look at it personally. He fits a little bit of a. There's a bit of a kind of a mould for the kind of players that we're looking at. So what we've been linked with Callum Hudson-Odoi, a young man of talent who's kind of just slightly stuttered in his career. Ryan Sessegnon fits that bill. And I think there are certain players you look at.
I don't think his career ever started, though. I honestly, Dave, I'm going to do you a solid here. I will intervene in that transfer so that you don't have to sign Ryan Sessegnon. That boy should not be playing in the Premier League. Honestly, he is. I don't know. Any Spurs fans in the chat? Am I being harsh? What does Ryan Sessegnon do? And by the way, just quickly, breaking news, and I thought this would be interesting, worth reading out. If you can see this, that Hannah Dingley is the title. Forest Green Rovers have just appointed their first ever female boss in the men's game. She's going to be the caretaker boss to take charge of the men's team.
Brilliant.
Following the exit of Duncan Ferguson.
Yes.
So, big news, right? That's I think that's a landmark for English for football.
Yeah.
For football.
Yeah.
So good luck to Hannah Dingley.
There's more. We talked about evolution in life and in sport previously, you know, with like Saudi and Kerry Packer and all that kind of stuff. There's a prime example. Isn't it fantastic? Yeah. I mean, it's one in the eye for the traditionalists. You know what I mean? It's great.
I'd love to see Emma Hayes. I'd like to see Emma Hayes.
She's fantastic.
She's been spoken about.
Managing a team. I feel like she comes across brilliantly. Hey, I know this is a really touchy, controversial subject, but I think this is great for the game. And
I do.
Let's see how she gets on, and hopefully she can get a couple of wins under her belt early doors. Because they got relegated, didn't they?
They got relegated. But Dale Vince is an incredibly modern guy. I think he's come from poverty. I think he was part of the traveller community for a while, Dale Vince, and he's now a multi-millionaire through his eco activities. I mean, what Dale Vince has done is fantastic. He's a self-made guy, and Dale Vince is kind of like, you know, let's push the boundaries. Let's nudge on the door of traditionalism. You know, there'll be stuffy newspapers saying, "Oh, how can they give it to a woman?" and all that. Well, they're dying out. Let's give it to her. Wouldn't it be brilliant? Like Emma Hayes could manage a bloke's team, no trouble at all.
I believe that as well.
And do you know what? When you were talking about the reaction to Pochettino talking on behalf of Chelsea by Tottenham supporters, is it not? For me, it's time to leave this dumb, ritualistic tribalism behind. If a guy leaves Nottingham Forest, right? Yeah. You know, then it's nothing to do with us anymore.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Do you know what? I think it'll be different, guys. And this isn't to anyone. This is to everybody. I think it would be different if he was like a ex-Spurs player that we were the first club he managed and he left us to go directly to Chelsea. But this is a guy that's come from the Spanish league. He's Argentinian, come from the Spanish league, managed Southampton first. All right, had a couple of good years at Tottenham, has gone to France, comes back 4 years later, and it's, how could he do this to us? How could he do it to us? He's hurt our little feelings. Oh God! What?
People seem to love like pantomime betrayals. I find it really childish. I mean, maybe at my age, you know, you kind of think, oh goodness me, how childish is that? You know what I mean? It's like when I've seen a lot of lads come back to my club when they've gone to other clubs, and with, you know, very few. I just like, that guy gave his all while he was here. He's given his all somewhere else now. Yeah. I don't believe necessarily in, you know, deal with it, but you have to kind of think, well, tomorrow's Wednesday and then the day after that is Thursday, and I can't really do much to change Monday and Sunday. Do you know what I mean? I get.
Why does there have to be? We'll come to this in a second. By the way, talking about, you know, I don't know what we're talking about. There's 215 people in the chat and only 68 likes. That is like Spursy. That is well tight. Like, smash the like button. Come on, people. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We're hunting down 7,500. We're on the rampage at the moment. Help me get there. Please subscribe to Albert JTV. Please subscribe to Tom Little as well. And what's wrong, guys, with, why can't it just be, he was good for a time, he's moved on. You don't even have to say good luck. Don't like, I'm not going to wish him luck at Chelsea, but go and do your thing. Like, when you come back to the lane, it'll be, thanks, Poch. But why has it got to be he's dreadful or it's magnificent? It can't just be, it is what it is. What's going on?
No nuance, Sav. People don't see nuance in life, I think. And it's one of the things that saddens me about modern life. It's a clickbait, knee-jerk society we seem to live in. And I find it really lacking in substance, lacking in thought, lacking in any kind of depth of analysis, really. You know, it's like, I mean, I noticed, and I'll use our manager. He's been asked numerous questions about other clubs or players that have left us and come back and all this kind of stuff. And Steve Cooper always says, It's about what I've got in this building and what I can do with it. Anything outside is extraneous noise. It's flim flam and ephemera, and it's irrelevant. You know, like Tom's sitting there thinking about the lads we've got inside Anfield. Albert's thinking about the lads they've got inside the Emirates. You're thinking, Sam, about the lads and the people you've got inside I nearly said White Hart Lane. It said inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. You know?
It will always be White Hart Lane. It will always be White Hart Lane.
I think what we do, Sav, a large group of people seem to want to do is they want to kind of maintain grudges and kind of maintain these dramas, which are just, to me, they're draining. I only get one life. It's pretty short. It's not a rehearsal. So I just want to keep moving on. Like I've said, all I personally care about is Arsenal at 12:30 away on August the 12th. Prior to that, a sellout friendly a week on Saturday against Notts County, which for the city of Nottingham is going to be amazing, right? Especially in light of recent events. Anything else, it's like if a player leaves Forest, thanks very much, mate. On your way, no worries.
Yeah, on your way. See you later.
It's what they forget. The idea for me is that the institutions of like Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, Hotspur, Nottingham Forest, they're all bigger than any individual.
Who's attacking our Dave? This woke Nottingham Forest fan. Why is he woke? Why is he woke? Because
hang on, anyway, does this person want me to be? Does he want me to be racist? Does he want me to be misogynistic? Does he want me to be xenophobic? Does he want me to be transphobic? Does he want me to hate? Is that what he wants me to do? No, I'm not going to do that. Love's everything. Love's all you need. So I'm not. No, don't get me to be racist. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be transphobic, misogynistic, whatever. You know what I mean? We had all that in 1939, and it caused a war, and we don't want it now. So I'll get off my high horse now.
So let me ask. Tom, Albert, where are you in terms of the? I knew as soon as I read out about a female manager.
Yeah, I've seen it in the comments.
It's madness. Like some of the comments. It's like men can't help them, not all men, but some men can't help themselves with the sexist comment within a second. Like straight away, like, oh, we already gave them match of the day and things like that. It's not I don't find it funny. I think this is a positive thing for football. But what do you make of it, Albert? And then, Tom, I know you've got to go. So actually, let me go to Tom first. I know he needs to jump, Albert. And Dave's whacking the keyboard again. I'll put him on mute. Go on, Tom.
It's an incredibly positive move. People just, again, it's all like they don't want to see these changing things. It's an incredibly positive thing. What are they going to do if she's successful? What are they going to do if she wins promotion with Forest Green? Is she then? What happens then? Emma Hayes has been around Chelsea for years now. She's probably, she's outlasted about 6-7 different Chelsea managers. She's that good at her job. But she, imagine if she's got all the pedigree to be a Premier League manager. Imagine if she got a Premier League job. Imagine the backlash and reaction. It's shocking. Let them do the job because they're more qualified than any of us ever will be to do it.
So where do you think the animosity comes from? Where is they're women, they're not good enough to manage a group of men? Where does that come from in this day and age?
Insecurity.
Shit banter, insecurity, and backwards views. It's broken down very easily. These people are insecure that someone they don't respect is better at a job they can't do than they are. Like it's mind blowing. All credit in the world to her. I hope she smashes it.
Me too.
I don't get all the animosity and the negativity because we can't do it.
What do they want us to do? Do they want us to discriminate and persecute and insult and belittle? Is that what they want us to do? I mean, I can't hate somebody just because they're different. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. And if people are worried about woke, does that mean they want dictatorship? What do they want? I mean, we're getting into some deep stuff here that isn't necessarily about Nottingham Forest's transfer policy. But my view is, I think it's a great thing. I tell you what, my niece is 12, right? She might want to play football. She might be thinking, right, ladies are, she's going to be watching the Lionesses in a couple of weeks' time. and it's going to be fantastic. And why shouldn't girls get into football and all that? And it's this male entitlement, and I can't be doing with it.
Yeah, it's
if you want to call me woke, I don't give a damn.
It's just strange. Like I feel like if you look at Forest Green, just got relegated, right? And Duncan Ferguson's just been sacked. So it's not like they're coming from a position of strength. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you can say, well, look how well this man done over here. Why can't she get the best out of why can't this lady get the best out of the players? Is it automatically that all the players will have that kind of tribalism and say, we're not listening to you because you're female? Could we see a surprise, Albert? And Tom, if you need to jump, I know you need to jump, so don't feel bad about just leaving. It's all good, man. And thank you for coming. All right, bye. That was quick. Thanks, Tom. Just before you answer that, Albert, guys and girls, if I could get 5 more subscribers, I will hit my target for the night, which was 6,650. So please smash the subscribe button if you haven't already. Sorry, Albert. Off you go.
That's all right. Yes, the minute you mentioned that, I kind of knew what was coming. I mean, this is only a small snip. This is even only a small snippet because you ain't even looked at your Twitter feed yet. I mean, they're even worse. Well, to think, Sav, we got the Women's World Cup coming up soon as well. Jeez, I mean that must upset quite a few people, to be honest. But yeah, it's mad because even when you're just asking us the question, I see some people in chat. They're asking the question off the back of you asking the question. Like we need to ask the question first. It's just
It's mad.
It is. It's crazy. I mean, they've got to start somewhere. To be honest, I mean, she's not coming in to take the job at Arsenal or Man City, is she? I mean. Like, give the woman a break, man. It is caretaker, by the way. That's the key. Understand that. So, it's always.
Imagine you're her, Albert. Imagine you're her, and all you're gonna read is hate. All you're gonna read before you. So, first of all, it's a huge job. I don't mean because she's female. Anybody going in to take over a professional football club is a huge job, and you've got pressure on your shoulders like no other. Now she's got that pressure. Plus, everyone, like some of the sexist people in the comments, said, women shouldn't do this, women that, women are terrible. Why does the standard of women's game, you're on mute. Oh, sorry, Dave, you're on mute. Let me bring you back. Why? I can't unmute your guest because they chose to mute themselves. Oh, okay.
I did. Sorry, sir.
Why does the level of the women's game from a playing perspective mean that a female can't manage? Is there a correlation?
No, I don't think there is, to be honest with you. I mean, I look at it in the sense of when Phil Neville got the England women's job. I mean, my only reservation of him getting a job at the time was because I wasn't really sure what he really knew about women's football in terms of the players and the network, and obviously, he brought in assistants to work with him. But I mean, I don't really get it, man. Like, and actually, you know what? To say I don't get it, Savva, I do get it because I'm old enough and ugly enough to have grown up and heard a lot of things in terms of sexism, racism, people resistant to change. Dave will know this in terms of a report that came out in cricket in terms of the elitism, the sexism. It was Savva. It was dreadful. Some of the stuff I read. Honestly,
it was awful.
It was an eye opener, and I just think you weren't born like that to think like that. I agree. Something's happened for you to have the views that you do with women in sport. Football. We're talking about football obviously because we're on a football channel. So. It's mad. Even like some people putting in the chat, name me a good women's commentator. I'm like, I don't understand the question.
Listen, I just think a lot of people, I'll be honest, are uneducated. And listen, I'm going to go to a few comments that have pissed me off, and I don't mind doing it. And I knew I run this risk when I showed this, but I think it's an important talking point. First of all, I'm going to go to this. Jeff R. Williams said, Savva, you're sexist and misogynistic because, do you know what? Can I tell you what's really annoyed me about this sentence? That you've bothered to spell the word misogynistic and then use the slang term for the word because. Like, I feel that's really lazy. Like, Savva, you're sexist and misogynistic because you got no female panelists. Well, first and foremost, I do have female panelists, right?
Exactly.
But there aren't as many female YouTube presenters as men. So trying to find some that work at the right time that fit in with this show isn't always available. Now, as these boys will know, the WhatsApp group, the Football Throwdown WhatsApp group, has females in the group. So when the link is sent out and it's, hey, who wants to come on tonight? Right? Who wants to come on tonight? They have got the choice. Now, to show you how misogynistic I am, and this is fantastic timing, I've actually just messaged, I don't know if you can see that, She Devil is a Man United YouTuber. Yeah. And I said, hi there, I've seen your shows. Would welcome the opportunity to collaborate. I run a channel called Football Heritage and always looking for new people to work with. She's come back and said, hiya, what days do you go live? Do you do live streams? If it suits, I'd happily jump on a stream. So first and foremost, no, me not having a female on this show doesn't make me sexist and misogynistic because I'm not closing down the idea. Second of all,
to add to that, sorry. Do you know the ironic thing about the comment you brought up? I've been doing the YouTube since June 9th, 2020 to be precise. But for the females I've spoken to, it's the comments that you've seen in the chat box now.
For sure.
Why they do not ever want to come into the space on YouTube.
No, mate, absolutely. Now, of course, this one, this is for me, this is just absolutely ridiculous. If Steve Cooper racist or misogynistic, he hasn't signed any female players. As far as I'm aware, you're not allowed to, for a start. You're not allowed to. No one's talking about men and women playing against each other. And this one here,
I think.
Sav, I have a question. By your logic, why not let men play versus women? Because when we're talking about a female manager, she's not playing on the pitch. She's managing. Yeah. She's coaching. She's doing the sessions. She's giving the team talks. Why is that to do with her playing? I just can't believe it's 2023.
Do you know what, Sam? There are a lot of people clutching at some very, very flimsy and tiny straws to justify their arguments. It's a lot of whataboutism, isn't it? Really, and it's like, can you believe? I think it's great. It's like, it's really revolutionary, and it, to some people that a lady should be doing what this lady's doing. I think it's great. The unsettling of some of these people from their ivory towers is really interesting, and you know what I mean. It's like, I think it's fantastic. I love their disturb. It's just brilliant. So let's have more of it.
Even from just a broadcasting point of view, even some of the main guys you see normally, Woodsy or Anna Woolhouse or Kelly Summers.
How good is Laura Woods? Like,
she's fabulous.
Laura Woods is brilliant. She's funny.
Let me tell you.
She's knowledgeable. She's got great personality. She handles the banter.
So articulate, knowledgeable.
Because she's
Michelle
a female,
Owen.
Because she's a female, we shouldn't listen to her. Like, I don't.
So it's like let's ask all these blokes about giving birth and having kids. I mean, to my way, they said name a good female commentator. I'll name you one. Pete Millenstein is fantastic. Pete Millenstein's great. Michelle Owen's fantastic, right? Kelly Summers comes on. I think it's really, I want to be in 2023. I don't want to be in 1939. And if people want to kind of slaughter me for that, fair enough. But I don't want to be one of these old farts who, it was always better back in my day. Go to hell.
I agree.
I'm interested in tomorrow, not yesterday.
Kate Abdo's fantastic. Yeah,
Kate Abdo's superb.
There's a lady.
Kelly Cates. Watch Kelly Cates on the overlap on tour. She's magic.
Brilliant.
Do you know what? I was lucky enough to just do some work with William Hill, and the presenter they had was Nicole Holiday.
Yes.
Big Arsenal fan. Fantastic. Brilliant. Bantered many of us off the park with football knowledge and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really don't understand how people could just, go on. Listen, we will go back to football for the last sort of 20 minutes, but
it's been like question time, Sam.
Yeah, it has. Where's the Bruce? Come on, get a rock, Sam.
It just baffles me how we're in 2023, and unfortunately, some of these people are allowed internet access and can just hide behind comments.
A lot of people talking on a lot of empty heads, I think, Sam, to be honest.
Yeah, listen. But
they're entitled to their views.
Of course, but isn't it the last thing I'll say on it, Dave? The worrying thing for me is how quickly I said that, and how quickly you could tell what was going to come. Yeah. It was, it was the stereotypical. Oh, we've given them match of the day, and it just absolutely baffles me. Last thing I want to talk about today, guys, in the show, taking it back to football. I want to talk about the goal scorer situation. And what I mean by that is it really, really feels to me that the league is starting to really struggle for goal scorers. Outside of Kane and Haaland, obviously Tony is now banned from football until January, so he's not going to be at the top of the goal scoring charts. Is this a worry in world football? Because everyone seems to need a striker. I don't know where they are. I feel like everyone is fighting over the same 2 or 3 strikers, and the clubs of those strikers know it and can charge the earth. What's going on with strikers in the world?
Go on, Dave.
I was waiting for you, Albert. I think it's almost like there's been an extinction event of like strikers. I mean, when if you go back so many years, back in the 70s and 80s, every side had either a centre forward, target man, or an out and out goal scorer, and there are very few about now. I think I had a conversation on a show last year. It might have been Potsy's show, and we were talking about this. And it was like Erling Haaland, Ivan Toney, Alexander Mitrovic, Harry Kane, and then we were really struggling. Now, I'm going to be particularly parochial, and I'm going to chuck in. If he'd had a full season, I would have chucked in Taiwo Awoniyi, because what he did towards the end of last season, right? Look at Albert laughing. But
he did very well.
But do you know what? And again, using my club as an example, we were a relegation struggler for all bar the last week of last season, right? And what I would say is there were so many games because of injury and other circumstances where we were playing with a false 9. There were often our forward line for quite a long time was like Brennan Johnson, Morgan Gibbs-White, Jesse Lingard, or Gustavo Scarpa, or whatever. And so finding a striker, like, Manchester United need a striker. There are lots of clubs who need
Chelsea need one. Man United need one.
I'm sure Sheffield United, Luton, and Burnley think they need one. But I would suggest the only one in this country from a lower league who you would think is Premier League quality to me would be Victor Gyökeres at Coventry.
Who's on his way to? No, he's on his way to Sporting Lisbon.
Well, there you go then. So and then beyond that, Joel, we've been linked with Joel Piroux from Swansea. So there's a Swansea connection there with Steve and Swansea. But you know what? When you're talking about Championship strikers coming into the Premier League, and then there aren't that many abroad either. You have to go and find a real nugget from somewhere. This is where scouting operations in various clubs are going to earn their corn, by finding that guy who can get you to start with, 10 or 15.
10, yeah.
And I your point, Sav, is bang on. There are hardly any great strikers in the world at the moment. Lewandowski, you would think, but beyond that,
we did this earlier, Dave. We looked at it earlier and we said, look, Benzema's gone to Saudi. Yeah. Lewandowski's 34, 35, and at Barcelona, no one's getting him.
Yeah,
you've got Mbappe, who's at PSG. We all know when he does go, he's going to Real Madrid. You've got Harry Kane, question mark on that. You've got Erling Haaland. You're not getting him out of Man City anytime soon. And then after that, across the world, you've got a few strikers that have had
Osimhen.
Well, you've got a few strikers that have had a good year, but they're not guaranteed year in, year out. Osman's had one good year. Muani's had one good year. Jonathan David's had. It's worrying, and I think it will come back around. But lots of these clubs are going to struggle to find these strikers. And Albert, I mean, they're talking about when Man United apparently, Man United were told they needed to pay something like 80 to 85 million euros for Rasmus Højlund, who scored 9 goals last year in the Italian. It's mental, isn't it? It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. You're right. It's they are a dearth. I don't know where this has really come from. Really, I mean, obviously players get older, and what players have got to come through. But I think, if I look at Arsenal, for example, I think they're a good example actually. When we bought Jesus, he wasn't, from my personal opinion, he wasn't going to be a guy that's going to get you 25 goals a season. So you look at it and go, okay, look, he's going to spearhead our attack, but we're going to have to look for goals by committee. And I think a lot of teams do that. A lot of your guys have got to chip in with 10 plus goals a season, 10, 15 plus goals a season. And hopefully, if your main man gets, your Salahs get 20, 25 a season, and your Kanes and your Lewandowskis, then great. But I hope, I do hope, kind of like we talk about cycles in football, that hopefully there's going to be a crop, Savva, that come through with the exception of obviously Højlund and Rasmus Højlund, was he gets a bit more, gets a bit more old, a bit more potent, but there's not many. But you're just hoping that a cycle of footballers do come through in that position, because
you need goal scorers. You
would think coming through academies or grassroots level, people want to play up front and score goals.
Do you think in this way that look, I'm not sure yet about this guy in terms of the number he'll score, but that Newcastle were maybe a little bit ahead of the curve then when actually bidding for Isak? Because I literally look across Europe now, and I think, and this all came about because obviously as Spurs, the conversation is all, if Kane goes, what do you do? And I've said the same thing you said, Albert. I said, if Kane goes, I think you need 3 or 4 players that all get 10 to 12 goals each. Arsenal have just done it. All 4 of your Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka, and Jesus all got between 10 and 15, right? Yeah. Brighton have just finished above Spurs, and their top goal scorer was Alexis McAllister with 12, right? And it just made me think, God, there's no goal scorers. You've got Gonzalo Ramos over at I always get Sporting, Benfica, and Porto mixed up. I think he's at Benfica, but again, young, never hit those amount of goals before. It's a really tough one for these clubs that want to go and spend.
I think, I think the boy, I think he's still young now. I can't believe he's 19, because he's a big unit. But when I watched him play last season, we played Arsenal played Brighton. But give him a few more years.
Evan Ferguson.
Yeah,
good player. Very good player.
For 19, the size he's already flipping. I mean, he's got a good potential, man.
He's the one, Albert. I think that's a great shout, mate. He's got something about him, and again, it's like he's come from, no disrespect, he's come from an unlikely source. He's an Irish lad, like Haaland is a Norwegian lad. You know what I mean? And it's great to see, perceived smaller pools projecting real talent out there. I think Evan Ferguson is going to be something special. But I think we're just, the earth turns, climates change. Yeah, we go through phases of life, and I think like Albert's just hit the nail on the head. We could come back here in 5 years' time. Hopefully, I'm still alive by then. We come back in 5 years' time. I hope so. These gin sessions might just pay off, and this bile smoothie I've got. So if anybody wants to give me,
I'll give you at least 7 years left. Don't worry, Dave. You'll be here in 5. You've got 7.
So
left.
This kind of complements some of the bile that we've had on the chat tonight. But I think we might be coming back in 5 years' time. Albert's got a guy at Arsenal who scored like 35 goals. I've got a guy at Forest who scored, 25. Somebody at Tottenham is like, wow, now they're pressuring Harry Kane's record. And it's just, life goes in cycles. So a cycle, if you like. We were terrible for 23 years. Now we're in the Premier League and we're just gently increasing. Arsenal have had a few years where they didn't challenge. Now they're in the Champions League. Tottenham have been up there. Now they're having a little bit of a fallow period, but they'll come back. And I think you have to play the long game in life sometimes. And I think, I mean, we talk about Evan Ferguson. He's if you like, a prototype. Yeah. And Brighton, I think, is a really good environment for him to get even better and better and better. And I'm sure, I remember the first time Michael Owen played for Liverpool. He got put on as a substitute at Wimbledon in a league game.
Remember
that at Selhurst Park. And he looked about 12, and he came on. And they said, this lad's been doing great things in the Liverpool reserves. He scored in his first game. Yeah. A few months later, he was scoring a wonder goal in the World Cup, and he was there.
But the thing is, Dave, you don't get a lot of that anymore now because people have got squads of 25 players. Remember back in those days, you had maybe your two forwards. If they got injured, it was, let's dip into the youth team. Now, I mean, take Liverpool, for example.
True.
If you're a young striker at Liverpool, straight away, Liverpool have got Diaz, Nunez, Gakpo, Jota, Salah, and I feel like I'm missing one, but those
Jota.
5. Right. If you've got those players above you, what has to happen for Klopp to go to his academy and go, that boy's doing really well. Let me, you know what I mean? But I agree, Dave. I think you can't beat it either. I remember the old days when some of the players I'm about to name, they didn't make it, but they come on for their debut, and there was that kind of like Spurs had a couple of strikers. Neil Fenn, remember back in the day, Neil Fenn, if anyone remembers him. We had like someone who did make it when Nicky Barmby came through.
Good player.
And you get that kind of buzz when they're a young goal-scoring player from your youth team. That feels like it's completely died. Now, a couple of players that have been mentioned in the chat here from Spurs fans, sum it up completely for me, is we've got 2 young strikers. We've actually got 4 young strikers at the club. We've got 2 young strikers that have just been out on loan. You've got Troy Parrott, who has been talked about for years, has gone on loan to Championship, League One and League Two, not scored goals anywhere he's been. Dane Scarlett, who is, I think, only about 18, 19, just went to Portsmouth, struggled to get a regular game at Portsmouth. But yet fans will go, get him in the team. And you're like, well, hang on. No offence, if you're not at Portsmouth playing every game and banging in at least 15 goals down in League One, what part of you is going to come in and replace Harry Kane to play up front for Tottenham Hotspur? Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what, Sav? We've got it at Forest at the moment. Like when we were a Championship club, we had a ruck of young lads who we kind of thought, these guys are quite near to getting to the first team. Tyrese Forner, Alex Mighton, some other lads, Finn Back, people like that. But what's happened is they all went out on loan last year. And while they were out on loan, Forest, through necessity of having to kind of get to a level to survive, moved in their evolution beyond where these lads are capable of being. And the likelihood is now that all those lads who were seen as really good prospects maybe 18 months ago are now going to be deemed surplus to requirements. And I think it's really, really, it's tough for these guys. Like you say, it's a 25-man squad. And the thing about football now, in life really, is this immediacy of a return on your investment. Do you know what I mean? You want it now. Absolutely want it now. So Danny Cadamartri, he was an excellent young player. Right? We all can name guys. If you like, Eddie Nketiah.
We have it with Balogun now. We have it with Balogun now.
So he went. Did he go to Middlesbrough on loan, Albert? And he didn't really set the world alight.
No, you're right. He didn't under what's his name, Chris Wilder. But he done well on loan at is it Rems? I think it was. He had a breakthrough season. He's been brilliant. But I'm not.
Is he
sure.
still an Arsenal player? He's still on your books.
There's talks whether he basically wants a chance in the first team, doesn't he? But whether he gets it off the back of that season.
Cameron Archer at Villa. he's been brilliant in the Championship for Preston and for Middlesbrough. But is he going to get in at Villa? No, not likely.
Dave, this is the thing. I think first and foremost, I think you've got to go away and prove it on loan that you can handle it. Second of all, you then need that opportunity. And if you are a team, most teams now play with one up top and then the two kind of wide forwards. You are then banking on the striker getting injured. There's probably one or two strikers behind him at most clubs. You're banking on them getting injured. You're now an 18-year-old kid in the first team. Everything needs to fall right for you, right time, right place. And then the moment that player gets fit again, you're being replaced. And that's why I think it's going to be so difficult now. When there were two up front, it was almost easier, right? Because you played a 4-4-2. The chances that someone will be injured is more. And you're playing with an experienced pro. Do you know what I mean? But I'd love to go back to those days.
You know what, Sam? A lot of teams just aren't playing with an orthodox centre forward anymore. We've signed, for an example, we signed Chris Wood in the January window, and at the time I kind of thought, well, that's not a bad signing. He's done all right at Newcastle, Leeds, and Burnley. Would he scored some goals in the Premier League? But it soon became pretty apparent that the way Forest play and the way he is set up to play just do not correlate. Doesn't work at all. So I think we're just football evolves all the time, but we just seems at the moment we're in a period where it's evolving at a faster rate than it has done previously. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Look, guys, I do want to end it there. I just find it quite a fascinating subject because I remember, when we were Albert, I think we're roughly the same age. I remember, when looking at the goal scoring charts. From season in, season out, you'd have 10, 15, 20 players all banging in goals. Everyone had two up top. Players were scoring for fun. Now it's very much, last season you had Haaland, Kane, Tony, and then I think there was a bit of a drop off to
Mo. Probably Mo Salah was up there, I would have thought, wouldn't he? But
I think he started scoring towards the back end. But do you know what I mean? There's no forwards anymore, and it's just such a worry. And by the way, listen, this guy, party after party, please listen. I know you just like to say anything positive about Spurs, but look, you can't chuck Dane Scarlett into the first team like we did with like Everton did with Rooney. Wayne Rooney was a complete one-off. Right? Yeah. Dane Scarlett is not that guy. Dane Scarlett looks like a nice young lad, looks like a good finisher, but I'll tell you what, hang on, just quickly before we do this. I just want to see what Dane Scarlett did at Portsmouth. 1 second. Dane Scarlett, okay. So Dane Scarlett played 38. Dane Scarlett played 38 games last season for Portsmouth, and he got 4 goals and 1 assist. Now, he's 19 years of age, so he's got time on his side. For me, that's who you send him out on loan again. For me, to League One again and say, right, you're a year older. That goal return needs to be 15.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That goal return, you need to show you can do it. But we've got fans like this going, just chuck him in. Just chuck him in. Richarlison had a nightmare last year, but we want to chuck in a guy that's only ever scored 4 goals for Portsmouth.
Would that be Richarlison who scored the goal of the World Cup? It was voted the goal of the World Cup, was it not? The goal he scored for Brazil.
Yeah.
But it just shows we've got one in our club. We've got a lad who's like a kid of 17 called Dale Taylor, who I think is going to be really, really good. He's already playing international football, admittedly for Northern Ireland, but nowhere near is he ready yet for the first team at Nottingham Forest. So he was on loan at Burton Albion last year. The idea this year is let's get him a loan at, I don't know, somewhere in the Championship, send him to Sunderland or Borough or Sheffield Wednesday, something like that, and let him learn again.
Hang on, guys. This will be good for you, Albert.
Of course.
There you go.
Jollof rice, son.
There you go.
Is it December the 25th for Arsenal fans?
It is.
There you go.
Look at Albert. Just freeze Albert's smile, Savva. It's so beautiful. Albert's smile is almost as beautiful as Albert's sister. Look at that. What a beauty.
Amazing.
So just
look at Albert.
Savva, you know what? Go on. You know what it is?
Sorry, go on.
Go on, Sav. No, go on, Sav.
I was just going to say, for anyone that can't read that, it is tiny. It does say Declan Rice to Arsenal. Here we go. Deal in place between Arsenal and West Ham. 100 million plus 5 million in add-ons. It's the most expensive signing ever for Arsenal and the most expensive English player ever. Arteta and Edu crucial to making it happen. Here we go.
Savva, can I just ask a question? Under the what's happening bit on the side there, I saw the name Margot Robbie. Is she an add-on? You know, it's like, are you getting Margot Robbie in as well? Maybe she could do some coaching or something.
I don't think you did. You've seen Mason Mount. I don't think you saw Margot Robbie. But look, good way to end the show. Look, for Arsenal fans, that is, you got your guy.
Way to go, Albert.
Sav, you know what it was? I said this before, and I want to make this very, very clear, right? It's not about whether Arsenal fans wanted Declan Rice or not. That wasn't the issue. The issue is that Arsenal have gone through too many windows where they haven't got their number one target, and that's why it was so important that this deal went through. To set a precedent, to show that Arsenal can get big deals done. Edu and Arteta do deserve a lot of credit because of the way a lot of the fans were going for Edu in particular was crazy. But you know, they got it done. Did we have to pay over the odds? Yes, we did. We paid 33 million pound more than we did for Nicolas Pepe, and we done it. End of story.
I just think, yeah, you may have paid more than you did for Pepe, but I think the difference is, I don't think there's any risk to signing Declan Rice. I think Declan Rice goes in your midfield. He's going to boss it from day one, and if you get 5 to 7, 8 years out of him, I think it's a great signing. I think, look, on the face of it, it looks like a lot of money, but if the guy's there for 7, 8 years, he's for me. I think he'll be your captain within 12 months. There you go. I'll call it. I think he'll be your captain. I think he'll be a great buy for you lot.
So Albert, let me just say this: his Premier League debut for Arsenal will be against Nottingham Forest.
The team for the Midlands,
yeah. So Steve Cooper's just written down on his pad. He's going to be talking to the lads in the morning. He's going to write, lads, when we go to the Emirates, it's Declan's welcome party. Let's go and boop it.
So listen, that is a good time to end it. Bang on an hour and a half. And thank you, Ben, for moderating. Please go and subscribe to Ben at the Calfee Company. If anybody would like to subscribe, I'm 3 subscribers away from my target of the end of today, which was 6,650. So if 3 people haven't, please go and subscribe. Thank you to all the people that kept the chat sensible. Really appreciate that. Dave, thanks for coming on, mate. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure,
Pleasure streaming again.
Thank you. Thank
you. You got to laugh. Spurs fans are brilliant, aren't they? Look, lack of ambition for Rice to go to Arsenal, but good signing for Arsenal.
That is rich.
I mean, do you know what? I mean, we're talking about a bloke who plays for West Ham. He's now going to Arsenal. If he had signed for Spurs, this is the type of. Just to let you know, party after party, he's one of those. He's always nice. He's a nice guy about it. He comes in my chat every week. This is the year we're winning the FA Cup. All right, mate. This is the year we're winning the. Yeah, cool. When none of it happens, he goes again the next year. Yeah, we're gonna. It's like cool. All right. It's good, but I don't feel like that's a downward move for Declan Rice in any way, shape, or form.
No.
Yeah, Dave, do a favour. Pass on my condolences to Lawless.
yeah. I think the whole world would probably be doing that because I'm sure he'll have his say.
He was tubing, mate. Trust me. Listen, I can see it, man.
Yeah, that West Ham Arsenal game for him is going to be a belter, isn't it, when it comes round?
Just quickly, right? This is where I find football fans hilarious, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you would have.
I want to bring up this one and the next one. First of all, Arsenal must win the league. What, have Man City suddenly got bad? Like the team that 3 weeks ago won a Champions League and a treble, all of a sudden Arsenal now must win the league because they've signed one player. Mental. And this makes me laugh. Right, I told you about this guy. He could have gone to a treble-winning City side. No, he couldn't because they didn't bid for him. They bid once and went, no, we're not paying that much. So no, he couldn't have. Sorry, guys, it really winds me up. I feel like people don't understand how transfer works. You know, Declan Rice doesn't decide that he goes to somewhere where the club won't pay for him. You know, it's not quite like that. Oh,
I'm coming to you, but we don't want you. No, but I'm coming to you. Sorry, we don't want you. Yeah. Will you be told we don't want you? Right? They've got Rodri. You know, he's just one of the champions. He's a Rolls Royce of a player.
I understand what City did. I understand City want him, but City did. Look, let's be fair. I'm not having a go at Arsenal here. For you guys, this was a huge deal. You need him. I think for City, it was a nice to have, and they've looked at it and gone, all right, we'll pay this, but we don't need to pay 100 million. We've got Rodri, we've got De Bruyne, we've got Phillips, we've got Kovacic. They don't need to spend 105 million on a central midfielder, but I just feel that our fans crack me up, man. Like this. Absolutely. So I know we're going to end the show, but Chris, absolutely, mate. The same fans saying Maddison turned down Newcastle, who didn't bid for Maddison. Like it's just fans just make up things to make themselves feel better about their own club, and I've never been that guy. I can't do it. It feels fake. Anyway,
nuance. We come back to nuance, Savva. People don't want the nuance. They don't want to read the small print. I mean, no, Arsenal must win the league this year. No excuses. What happens then? Do people lose their lives? What are people going to get punished? Are they going to be? Are they going to have like their houses taken off them? Their kids put in care? I mean, what is going to go on? If Arsenal don't win the league next year, then Arsenal try and win it the year after and the year after.
Exactly.
You know, look, listen, but I'm happy and satisfied. Right, listen, I buy it. I do buy it. I'm happy and satisfied with Maddison, but that's got nothing to do with Declan Rice signing for Arsenal.
Yeah, first
and foremost, Arsenal didn't bid for Maddison and Spurs didn't bid for Declan Rice, so there was never any competition. Second of all, Declan Rice is a box-to-box midfielder. James Maddison is a playmaker. Like it just doesn't. I don't.
No.
By the way, and coming from an Arsenal fan, that's a brilliant signing. Absolutely
great
brilliant.
signing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, 100%.
He's a class act. James Maddison's a superb player. Yeah, I actually think he did. I thought he would go to Newcastle, but I think he goes to Tottenham, and there's a new man. It feels with Ange and with Maddison as a starting point for whatever other business Tottenham do. It just feels like the beginning of the reset that they needed. I think, so I think James Maddison is and people will be bringing up historical tweets about what he said. Nonsensical. Who cares about that? I think for Tottenham, I'm really excited to see how James. He could be the head honcho in that midfield there, and Betancourt comes back and helps him.
Dave, we live in an era where it can't be that they're just two good signings for their respective clubs. It has to be compared. The two signings have absolutely no bearing on each other.
No.
It was never a case of Spurs going, do we want Maddison or do we bid for Declan Rice for 105 million? Like it was never going to happen. Like, right, I must go before I read anything else that makes my mind.
You need another holiday, Sam.
I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. Anyway, guys, Dave, Albert, thank you so much, guys. Always appreciate your time. Love your company. And listen, as always, here is a little video to see you out. And thank you very much. I will be live tomorrow at 10 a.m. for the normal Wednesday morning chat with Savva. And I will see all the Spurs fans then. Take care and good night.